What's the first thing someone does when they stop loving you? It's not always loud. It's not slamming doors, raised voices, or asking for space. In fact, it's usually much quieter than that. Something shifts, almost invisibly at first, and if you're not really looking, you might miss it. There's a moment, small but significant, when their heart starts to pull away, even though their words and routines remain the same. This video isn't about drama. It's not about pointing fingers or playing guessing games. This is about clarity. Because when love begins to fade, it doesn't vanish all at once. It leaves traces, a quiet trail of behavior changes, emotional distance, and withheld connection that tells the real story, even if their lips never do. In this video, we'll walk through 5 subtle but powerful signs that often show up first when someone stops loving you. These aren't wild guesses. They're grounded in real emotional patterns observed in long-term relationships, marriages, and deep partnerships. By the end, you'll have a clearer sense of what's real, what matters, and maybe even what your next step should be. Stay with me until the end, because one of these signs, one that's often overlooked, could completely change how you see your relationship. You deserve honesty, not just from them, but from yourself too. So let's take a closer look at how love, when it starts to leave, almost always knocks in the same quiet ways. Sign 1. Loss of curiosity. One of the first and quietest signs that someone is falling out of love, they stop being curious about your world. Not so long ago, they asked how your doctor's appointment went, what your grandkids were up to, or how you slept last night. But now, they barely look up when you speak. They don't ask follow-up questions. They don't seem interested in the little moments that make up your day. That change isn't just about being distracted or busy. It's a sign of emotional detachment. Let me tell you about Edna and Paul. They were married for nearly 40 years. Edna used to tell Paul everything: how the roses finally bloomed, what the neighbor's dog did, how her book club was practically fighting over a mystery novel. Paul used to listen. He'd laugh, nod, add his own comment, but over time that changed. She'd start a story, and he wouldn't look away from the TV. He'd grunt or say nothing at all. Edna felt the shift long before she could put it into words, a heavy, aching quiet between them. It wasn't just silence, it was the absence of interest. When someone truly loves you, they lean in. They care. They want to know what made you smile this morning, or what's been on your mind. But when that caring fades, it's rarely with a bang. It leaves quietly. A kind of emotional vacancy that makes you feel lonely, even when you're in the same room. And here's the truth. They don't stop asking because your stories are boring. They stop because they're no longer emotionally invested. You become background noise instead of the center of their world. That's hard to hear. But if you feel like your voice no longer lands, ask yourself, when did they stop being curious about me? And why didn't I notice it sooner? Because when someone no longer loves you, they don't always say it, but they show it in what they no longer ask and what they no longer care to hear. Sign 2. Decreased patience. When someone's love starts to fade, patience is often the first thing to go. The things they once laughed off or gently corrected suddenly annoy them. You ask a question about the groceries or the calendar, and you're met with a sigh, a sharp tone, or that look that says, "Why are you bothering me?" What once felt like understanding now feels like walking on eggshells. Let's talk about Helen, 76 years old. She'd always been a little forgetful. Her husband Richard used to tease her lovingly, help her find her glasses, or remind her where she left her phone for the 5th time. It was part of their rhythm. But then something changed. Richard began snapping at her, muttering under his breath, rolling his eyes. One day when she asked for help logging into her online banking, he said coldly, "You need to figure it out yourself." Helen never forgot that moment, not because it was loud, but because it was so unlike him. When someone is in love, they offer grace. They navigate your quirks with kindness. But when love fades, even the smallest requests start to feel like demands. This shift is subtle, but powerful. It's not about you being too needy. It's about how their willingness to show up for you has changed. Their tone changes. They interrupt. They eye roll. They give you silence when all you did was ask a simple question. Don't dismiss that. It's not just moodiness. It's a signal, one that their heart might no longer be where it once was. And if you're constantly feeling like a burden instead of a partner, that's something you deserve to acknowledge. If this message is resonating, drop a number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Tap that bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Sign 3. Lack of time together. When love fades, so does time. Not in minutes or days, but in presence. In shared, chosen time. You'll notice it. They stop making plans with you, not because they're busy, but because they don't want to. They used to sit beside you during your favorite shows or join you on the porch in the evening. Now they linger in other rooms, leave the house without asking if you want to come. And when they're home, their body is there, but their attention isn't. Think of Rai, 68. He loved his morning coffee routine with his wife, Linda. Every morning, side by side at the kitchen table, they'd sip coffee, chat about the news, or simply enjoy the silence. But slowly, things changed. Linda started waking up earlier, going for long walks alone. The coffee was made, but the table was empty. She said she needed time for herself. Rai understood, until it became the norm. Day after day, he began to feel like a guest in his own marriage. When someone loves you, they carve out time, because time is love. But when love fades, so does the desire to be close. They'll say they're tired, or they've got errands, or they'll say nothing at all. But the truth is, people make time for what matters. And if you find yourself alone, even when they're in the same house, it might not be by accident. They stop inviting you to do small things. They stop asking about your day. You hear more, you go ahead, and I'll just stay here. And with each little decision, the distance grows. It doesn't take a big fight or breakup, just enough mornings alone. Enough dinners eaten in silence. Enough nights with their back turned in bed. If the relationship that once felt shared now feels one-sided, don't ignore that. Because when someone no longer loves you, they don't just give you less time, they remove it entirely. And that kind of silence, it speaks louder than words ever could. Sign 4, emotional withholding. One of the most painful signs that someone is falling out of love is something you don't feel. Emotional warmth. They used to comfort you when you were upset. They held your hand in the car, kissed you on the cheek before bed, gave you that reassuring smile across the room when you needed it most. But now the emotional connection feels cut off. The comfort is gone. The affection, missing. It's not that they're being cruel. It's that they're no longer offering the love that once flowed so naturally. Let's talk about Marianne. Her husband Joel used to be her safe place. When her arthritis flared up or she had a bad night's sleep, he'd wrap her in a hug and sit with her quietly until she felt better. But lately, when she says she's hurting, Joel shrugs, says, "You'll be fine." No hug, no eye contact, no emotional response. And the worst part? She stopped expecting one. That's what emotional withholding does. It doesn't just deprive you of affection. It trains you not to ask for it, not to need it. You become cautious, careful not to speak too openly. You stop reaching out because every time you do, you're met with coldness or silence. And here's the truth. People don't stop showing love because they forget how. They stop because they no longer feel what they used to, or because they're choosing not to give what they once gave freely. When love is alive, emotions move freely. There's touch, there's softness, there's eye contact that lingers, words that feel like home. But when love fades, it's like they've shut the emotional door and locked it from the inside. You find yourself longing for the tiniest crumbs of warmth, a kind glance, a kind word, a brush of the hand. If you're constantly feeling starved for emotional connection, ask yourself, when did I stop feeling safe being vulnerable with them? Because real love doesn't make you feel like a burden for needing closeness. It welcomes your heart and holds it gently. Sign 5. No effort to repair or reconnect. Every couple has disagreements. Every relationship has hard days. But when someone still loves you, they want to fix what's broken. They reach for you after a fight. They apologize. They ask, "Are we okay?" But when the love is gone, they stop trying. No more working through conflict. No more check-ins. No more, "Let's talk about it." Instead, there's avoidance, detachment, or pretending like nothing happened. You bring up something that's been bothering you, and they change the subject. Or worse, they roll their eyes and say, "Here we go again." Let me tell you about James and Nora. They were together for nearly 3 decades. But when their relationship started to crack, James noticed that Nora no longer fought for them. Not with him, for them. Before, even after the worst disagreements, they'd stay up talking, cry, apologize, reconnect. But now, fights ended in silence. Days passed without a word. And when James finally asked, "Don't you care about fixing this?" she said quietly, "I don't know anymore." That moment broke something inside him, not because it was loud, but because it was final. Here's the thing. When someone loves you, they want to repair what's broken. They value the bond enough to fight for it, even when it's hard. But when that desire disappears, when you're the only one still trying, that's a sign the emotional commitment may already be gone. And love without effort isn't really love at all. So if you're constantly the one bringing up concerns, reaching out first, apologizing, or trying to bring things back to center, pay attention. Because when someone stops loving you, they often stop trying too. Not with anger, just with quiet indifference. Closing message. If you've recognized even one of these signs in your relationship, I want you to take a breath. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. Because sometimes the truth we avoid is the one we most need to hear. Love doesn't always end with screaming or divorce papers. Sometimes it ends slowly, in forgotten glances, in shortened conversations, in the ache of being next to someone who's no longer reaching back. But here's what I know for sure. You deserve to be loved out loud, fully, kindly. Not as a habit, but as a choice. So take a moment, reflect. Ask yourself not just if they still love you, but if you still feel loved, because you matter. Your heart matters. And love, when it's real, doesn't feel like confusion. It feels like home. If this video spoke to you, share it with someone who might need it. You never know whose heart you might help. And remember, love that's meant for you won't make you beg for closeness. It will meet you where you are and hold you there.